Hey there. Every couple of weeks, there's going to be a week where there's simply no time to do the type of thing that I would want to do for this channel. This week is one of those weeks. So this week, we're going to do something short. I'm going to share a very simple decision-making tool that I've picked up, I think, from Amazon originally and from colleagues over there, but has been incredibly helpful in making decisions go faster, which I found for leaders at any level, but particularly the more senior you get, super important. So let's talk about how to speed up decisions. Let's go. The situation is the following. One of your teams is trying to get something out, and they want to launch an initial A/B test. But even to get the A/B test, they're running into all sorts of issues with approvals and with approval chains and with various departments in the company that want to have a say on what's going to be released. And if you look at the feedback that the different departments have, it's all going to be reasonable stuff. Legal is worried about a disclosure form. Maybe the marketing team would like to plan a release around it. Maybe one of your teams that doesn't sit in your office has some worries about how the local customers are going to think about the release. And so what's going to happen is the team is going to try to be diligent and answer all of the feedback from all of the stakeholders. And instead of launching now, they'll be launching in 6 months because of all of the feedback they got in. This is a velocity killer. This type of situation, I think, happens in every company every single day, where you have a team that's earnestly trying to get something out the door that they believe is going to be super beneficial to user value, but there are 1,000 valid concerns around why we shouldn't do the release, or a lot of stakeholders who feel that they haven't been heard and want to be heard about what's going to go out the door. So how do you avoid or at least minimize the effects of this? Well, there's a very simple decision-making tool called one-way doors and two-way doors. And it's about as simple as it sounds, but it's proven to be incredibly powerful in big decisions, and for me, even in small decisions. What it is hopefully relatively evident even by the name. A one-way door is a door that if you go through it, you can't go back. And a two-way door is a door that if you go through it, you can easily go back again. When you apply this to decisions, what this means is one-way door decisions are decisions that are very hard to back out of once you make them. And two-way door decisions are decisions that you can easily revert from if you find that the result of the decision isn't to your liking. Most decisions that you make, most decisions that your team makes, and most of the decisions anybody ever makes are two-way door decisions, which means that for most decisions, you can easily reverse course if the decision doesn't have the desired effect. Say that you launch your A/B test and the A/B test doesn't work out, then you can just scrap the A/B test and move on. What this means is that there's relatively low risk associated with the decision, meaning that you shouldn't spend a ton of time on debating and making the decision. You shouldn't spend a ton of time soliciting feedback from stakeholders, and you shouldn't spend a ton of time trying to ground and validate the decision in too much data and comfort to de-risk it before you make the decision. Instead of investing 100 cycles upfront in trying to make the decision the best decision possible, make it, see the implications of it, move on. One-way door decisions are obviously completely different. A one-way door decision might be something like, should we buy this company? Should we launch in this market and open a regional office there? Should we hire this person? Things that are much more sensitive in terms of the implications of making the wrong call, because backing out of the decision would be very, very difficult or even impossible. One-way door decisions require more scrutiny and are deserving of more scrutiny, because if you mess them up, it's going to be really costly and painful for a lot of people, yourself included. The way I use this is in two ways. So number one is I try to hold myself accountable to when my team is trying to make what I think is a two-way door decision, to not overburden them with feedback, but just let them know that I think it's a two-way door decision. Here's my feedback, please go ahead and do it. And when they're coming close to a one-way door decision, on the other hand, I then try to very much bring in a much more robust and rigid decision-making process and make sure that we consider all of the stakeholders and that we make sure that everybody who's a party to the decision is involved and that we put appropriate data and resourcing on it. The second thing is I try to teach this to folks on my team, that when they get into situations where they're thinking, should we spend another X hours on analysis or whatnot, to think, is this a one-way door or a two-way door? And if it is a two-way door, don't bother, don't spend the cycles, just go ahead and do it. Now, I'll caveat this by saying that one of my prime objectives when I work with my team is to try to make the team move fast. As we're going to talk about at some point, I believe two of the main responsibilities of a senior leader towards their team is to inject speed and inject clarity. And what I think speed and clarity is fast decision making, and it's providing context and the rules of the game so that people can do their best work at the highest possible velocity. So what I very rarely encounter when you have smart, conscientious, hardworking people is that they underanalyze situations. Often what I find, at least when the company hits a certain size, is that you're going to have folks that are relatively risk averse. They want to think through decisions. They want to think responsibly about the implications of those decisions. And one of your obligations as a leader is to unlock with them the ability to move fast and make decisions and be fearless about what they're trying to do. And providing simple tools like one-way doors and two-way doors is a super simple way to do that. So highly recommend Googling more about it, highly recommend reading more about it, highly recommend applying it starting maybe tomorrow with your team. Think about the first 5 decisions you do in a day, or think about the first 5 decisions your teams have to do in a day, and ask yourself for each of them, is this decision a one-way door or a two-way door? Promise you're going to learn some interesting things and hopefully move a little bit faster. And with that, I think it's time for me to go and finish laundry and clean up some of the baby stuff. Have a good night.